Have you ever felt a city's heartbeat? Not just the rumble of a subway or the chatter of a crowd, but its actual pulse, echoing through centuries of history, ambition, and dreams. Most people see London as a postcard, red buses, Big Ben, the Queen, but that's just the surface. What if I told you there's a hidden London, a city of secrets, whispered tales, and forgotten ghosts, waiting just beneath the cobblestones? A city that has risen from plagues, fires, and wars, each time reinventing itself, yet never losing its soul. Today, we're not just visiting London. We're going to uncover its story, from the Roman ruins buried beneath your feet to the glittering skyscrapers that pierce the clouds. This is the real London, the one most tourists miss. And our journey starts now. Our story begins not with kings and queens, but with a river, the Thames. This winding artery is the reason London exists. 2,000 years ago, the Romans arrived, saw the strategic advantage of this tidal river, and built a settlement they called Londinium. Imagine standing right here, near what is now the Tower of London, and seeing not a fortress, but a bustling Roman port. With ships arriving from across the empire, carrying wine, pottery, and olive oil, the city thrived. They built walls, an amphitheater, and temples. But empires fall. The Romans left, and Londinium was all but abandoned, a ghost town on the riverbanks. For centuries, the ruins lay silent, a haunting reminder of a lost golden age. It seemed London's story was over before it had truly begun. But this city has a stubborn habit of refusing to die. Fast forward a few hundred years to the Anglo-Saxons. They didn't reoccupy the Roman walls, but built a new town to the west called Londonwick. This was a place of trade, of merchants and artisans, but danger was always on the horizon. Viking raiders sailed up the Thames, plundering and burning. It was King Alfred the Great who finally drove them back and, crucially, decided to refortify the old Roman city. He understood the power of those ancient walls. This was the rebirth of London. The city within the walls became the heart of England's commerce and power, a legacy that continues to this day. When you walk through the area known simply as the city, you're treading on layers of history, a foundation laid by Romans and rebuilt by a Saxon king. Then came the Normans in 1066. William the Conqueror, knowing he needed to control this powerful city, didn't just march in. He built a symbol of his power, a stone fortress that would intimidate and dominate the London skyline for 1,000 years, the Tower of London. It wasn't just a castle. It was a royal palace, a prison, an armory, even a zoo. Its walls have witnessed royal secrets, tragic executions, and daring escapes. It's here that the story of royal London truly begins, a saga of power struggles, love, and betrayal that would shape the nation. The tower stands as a grim, stone-faced storyteller, reminding us that London's history is written in both ink and blood. But as the medieval period progressed, the city grew beyond the tower's shadow. Guilds were formed, trade flourished, and London Bridge, packed with houses and shops, became a wonder of the medieval world. The city was becoming a character in its own right, loud, chaotic, and ambitious. But just as London reached new heights, disaster struck. In 1348, the Black Death swept through the city. It's almost impossible for us to comprehend the horror. In less than 2 years, nearly half of London's population was wiped out. The city became a place of mass graves and overwhelming grief. Yet incredibly, London endured. The survivors rebuilt. Society changed forever, paving the way for a new era of social mobility and opportunity. This resilience, this ability to face the abyss and climb back out, is a core part of London's DNA. It's a trait the city would need again and again. The next few centuries saw the rise of the Tudors and the great playwright William Shakespeare, whose Globe Theatre on the South Bank brought stories to the masses, reflecting the city's own drama and energy. London was becoming a global center for culture, a stage for the human experience. Then came the 17th century, a century of fire and plague. In 1665, the Great Plague returned, another devastating blow. A year later, in a small bakery on Pudding Lane, a spark ignited what would become the Great Fire of London. For 4 days, the city burned. The medieval London of timber-framed houses and narrow alleys was almost completely destroyed. Over 13,000 homes and 87 churches, including the magnificent St. Paul's Cathedral, were reduced to ash. it seemed like the end. But from those ashes, a new city was born. Sir Christopher Wren, the brilliant architect, was tasked with the reconstruction. He designed a new St. Paul's, its magnificent dome, a symbol of hope and rebirth, and over 50 other new churches. London rose again, this time built of brick and stone, a more modern, more resilient metropolis. This event fundamentally reshaped the city you see today. The 18th and 19th centuries saw London explode in size and influence. It became the heart of the vast British Empire, the largest city in the world. This was the London of Charles Dickens, a city of incredible wealth and grinding poverty, of grand Victorian townhouses and dark smog-filled alleyways. The Industrial Revolution brought factories, railways, and the iconic London Underground, the world's first subterranean railway. This network, the Tube, became the city's circulatory system, allowing it to sprawl outwards, creating the suburbs and the diverse patchwork of neighborhoods we know today. From the elegant squares of Kensington to the bustling markets of the East End, each area developed its own unique identity, its own story. This was when London truly became a world city, a melting pot of cultures, ideas, and innovations. The 20th century tested London's spirit like never before. The Blitz during World War II saw the city relentlessly bombed for months. Night after night, Londoners sought shelter in underground stations as their homes and landmarks were turned to rubble. The famous images of St. Paul's Cathedral, standing defiantly amidst smoke and fire, became a global symbol of courage. The Blitz spirit wasn't a myth. It was the city's old resilience, its refusal to be broken, shining through in its darkest hour. After the war, the rebuilding began once more. But this time, it was also a social reconstruction. Waves of immigration from the Commonwealth and beyond arrived, transforming London into one of the most multicultural cities on earth. This diversity is now London's greatest strength. It's in the food, the music, the languages you hear on every street. It's what makes the city so vibrant and constantly evolving. So what is London today? It's a city of contrasts. It's the ancient Tower of London standing in the shadow of the Shard's futuristic glass spire. It's the tradition of the changing of the guard set against the backdrop of rebellious street art in Shoreditch. It's a global financial powerhouse that also nurtures thousands of small independent businesses in places like Camden Market. To truly know London, you have to experience these contrasts. You have to get lost in its streets. Wander from the grand avenues of Westminster to the quiet, leafy canals of Little Venice. Explore the world-class museums, most of which are free, and then discover a tiny, hidden pub that's been serving pints for 400 years. This city isn't a checklist of sights to be ticked off. It's an experience to be lived. It's a conversation to be had. The heartbeat I spoke of at the beginning, it's still here. You can feel it in the rumble of the tube beneath your feet. You can hear it in the mix of 1,000 languages spoken in Borough Market. You can see it in the defiant spirit of a city that has been knocked down time and again, only to rise stronger, more vibrant, and more diverse. London is not just a place on a map. It's a living, breathing story, and every person who walks its streets becomes a part of it. The next time you see a picture of a red bus, remember the journey that bus is on, through a city built by Romans, rebuilt by Saxons, scarred by fire, and healed by its people. A city that holds 2,000 years of history in its hands and is still writing its next chapter. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the heart and soul of London. There are always more stories to tell and more secrets to uncover. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. And let me know in the comments where you want to go next. Until next time, keep exploring.